Hi friends, I am going to read you some parts of the book Family Pictures by Carmen Lomas Garza. And one thing I love about this book, it is bilingual. It is written in English and Spanish because Carmen Lomas Garza is bilingual and she writes in English and in Spanish. Hoy vamos a leer el libro Cuadros de familia por Carmen Lomas Garza. Y una cosa que me gusta mucho sobre este libro es que es un libro bilingüe. Carmen Lomas Garza lo escribió en dos idiomas, español e inglés. Now let's quickly look at the back cover. Carmen Lomas Garza is a painter, and she painted a picture of herself to show us what she looks like. Carmen Lomas Garza es artista y pintó un autorretrato, un cuadro de sí misma, okay? Es ella. And I'm reading this book with permission from Children's Book Press. Estoy leyendo este libro con permiso de Children's Book Press. Family Pictures, Cuadros de Familia. Here is a little introduction, a little note about this book from the author. The pictures in this book are all painted from my memories of growing up in Kingsville, Texas, near the border with Mexico. From the time I was a young girl, I always dreamed of becoming an artist. I practiced drawing every day. I studied art in school, and I finally did become an artist. My family has inspired and encouraged me for all these years. This is my book of family pictures. Los cuadros de este libro los pinté de los recuerdos de mi niñez en Kingsville, Texas, cerca de la frontera con México. Desde que era pequeña siempre soñé con ser artista. Dibujaba cada día. Estudié arte en la escuela y por fin me hice artista. Mi familia me ha inspirado y alentado todos estos años. Este es mi libro de cuadros de familia. Now, my friends, every page in this book has a different story that Carmen Lomas Garza remembers from when she was little, from when she was a child. And I'm going to read you some of my favorite stories in the book. We won't have time to read them all, but I will read you some of my favorites. En este libro, cada página tiene una historia o un cuento diferente de la vida de Carmen Lomas Garza. No vamos a tener tiempo para leer todos los cuentos en el libro, pero yo he escogido unos de mis favoritos para compartir con ustedes. Oh, and while we read, I want you to be making connections, okay? I want you to be thinking about your family and the stories that you have about being with your family, okay? Mientras leemos, quiero que hagas conexiones, quiero que pienses en tu familia y en las historias que tú tienes con tu familia. Okay, let's read some of these stories. Here's one of my favorites. Oranges. We were always going to my grandparents' house, so whatever they were involved in, we would get involved in. In this picture, my grandmother is hanging up the laundry. We told her that the oranges needed picking, so she said, well, go ahead and pick some. Before she knew it, she had too many oranges to hold in her hands, so she made a basket out of her apron. That's my brother up in the tree picking oranges. The rest of us are picking up the ones that he dropped on the ground. Do you see what a beautiful detailed picture Carmen Lomas Garza made showing this story? Wow, she remembered a lot of details, and she's really showing her readers all about this story. Naranjas. Siempre íbamos a la casa de mis abuelos, así que cualquier cosa que estuvieran haciendo ellos, Nosotros la hacíamos tan bien. En este cuadro mi abuela está colgando la ropa a secar. Nosotros le dijimos que las naranjas estaban listas para cosechar y ella nos respondió, vayan pues, recójanlas. En un 2x3 tenía demasiadas naranjas para sostenerlas en las manos, así que convirtió su delantal en canasta. Ese es mi hermano en el árbol recogiendo naranjas. El resto de nosotros estamos recogiendo las que él deja caer al suelo. ¿Ves el cuadro muy detallado que hizo Carmen Lomas Garza enseñando su cuento? Let's look at another story. Here on the next page is another story that Carmen Lomas Garza wrote about her grandmother. I'm thinking that her grandmother must have been a very special person to her. For dinner. This is my grandparents' backyard. My grandmother is killing a chicken for dinner. My grandfather is in the chicken coop trying to catch another chicken. Later, my family will sit down to eat Sunday dinner, chicken soup. That's me in the blue dress with my younger brother, Arturo. He was so surprised by the scene that he started to spill his snow cone. We had never seen anything like that before. I knew my grandparents had always raised chickens, but I never knew how the chickens got to be soup. You know, my friends, I am thinking that Carmen Lomas Garza really loved her grandmother and her grandfather, and she wrote a lot of stories about being at their house. I'm wondering who is special to you in your family, and if you have stories about being with them. I'd like you to think about that. Para la cena. Este es el patio de mis abuelos. Mi abuela está matando a una gallina para la cena. Mi abuelo está en el gallinero tratando de atrapar a otra gallina. Más tarde, mi familia se sentará a comer la cena del domingo. Sopa de pollo. Esa soy yo, vestida de azul, con mi hermano menor, Arturo. Él estaba tan sorprendido por lo que veía que se le empezó a derramar su raspa. Nunca antes habíamos visto algo parecido. Ya sabía que mis abuelos criaban gallinas, pero no había sabido antes cómo era que las gallinas se convertían en sopa. ¿Saben? Yo creo que Carmen Lomas Garza quería mucho a su abuela y su abuelo, y tiene muchos cuentos que pasan en la casa de ellos. Y yo quiero saber quién es especial para ti de tu familia, y tienes muchos cuentos que pasan con esa persona especial. We'll just have time for one more story. Let's see. Ooh, I really like this story about a party. I see them breaking a piñata. Me gusta mucho este cuento sobre una fiesta con una piñata. Okay. Oh, this is a really interesting story about when Carmen Lomas Garza went to the beach and saw a shark that some fishermen had caught. Este cuento se trata de una vez que Carmen Lomas Garza fue a la playa y vio un tiburón que unos pescaderos habían atrapado. Wow, so many beautiful stories, but I think this is the one that I want to share with you. This is the last one we'll have time for. Making tamales. This is a scene from my parents' kitchen. Everybody is making tamales. My grandfather is wearing blue overalls and a blue shirt. I'm right next to him with my sister Margie. We're helping to soak the dried leaves from the corn. My mother is spreading the cornmeal dough on the leaves, and my aunt and uncle are spreading meat on the dough. My grandmother is lining up the rolled and folded tamales ready for cooking. In some families, just the women make tamales, but in our family, everybody helps. Makes me really hungry. I'm noticing that a lot of the stories in this book are about food. I'm wondering if there are special foods that you eat with your family, and if you have any food stories about your family. La tamalada. Esta es una escena de la cocina de mis padres. Todos están haciendo tamales. Mi abuelo tiene puesto rancheros azules y camisa azul. Yo estoy al lado de él con mi hermana Margie. Estamos ayudando a remojar las hojas secas del maíz. Mi mamá está esparciendo la masa de maíz sobre las hojas y mis tíos están esparciendo la carne sobre la masa. Mi abuelita está ordenando los tamales que ya están enrollados, cubiertos y listos para cocer. En algunas familias solo las mujeres preparan tamales, pero en mi familia todos ayudan. Yo he notado que muchos de los cuentos de Carmen Lomas Garza se tratan de la comida. Y me pregunto si ustedes tienen comidas especiales que les gusta comer con su familia y si ustedes tienen cuentos sobre preparar y comer la comida. Pues, well, I have really enjoyed reading this book with you. Ooh, there's a story about eating watermelon. I love that. But I don't think we'll have time to read any more stories from this book. So let's say goodbye for now, and I hope that sometime you'll get a chance to maybe read more of the stories in this book called Family Pictures by Carmen Lomas Garza. Pues no nos queda más tiempo para leer. Me gustó mucho leer con ustedes. Nos vamos a despedir ahora y espero que una vez tengan tiempo para leer más cuentos de este libro Cuadros de Familia por Carmen Lomas Garza.